You're listening to Australia's #1 tech podcast. Every week, join hosts Brad and Jason here on the Tech Webcast. Download our iPhone app, follow us on Twitter at Tech Webcast, and visit us online at techwebcast.info. Here are your hosts, Brad and Jason.
Welcome to episode 178 of the Tech Webcast podcast, recorded on Saturday, the 10th of March, 2012. Tech Webcast is recorded every Saturday and rebroadcast on Aussie Tech Heads on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Today's hosts are Brad, Jason, Steve, and Jody. Good afternoon, Brad.
Hey, Jason, how are you, mate?
Pretty damn good. How's yourself?
Pretty damn good.
That's good news.
What's been happening?
I'm looking to change my ISP.
To cable, Optus cable.
To Optus cable,
Yeah,
since they can't get me anything better than about 4 megs on ADSL. That's my limit. I had a look around, and Optus cable's available in my area. I've seen a few other people around here with boxes on the side of their house. So my contract with TPG runs out on 25th of April, so I might get Optus to come in and give me some cable speed.
Nice. Good stuff. Yeah,
120 gigs a month. Nice.
Yep. We had the Apple event the other day, but it's quite good.
Yeah,
the
new iPad called iPad.
New iPad, which I'm not sure why they didn't call it iPad 3.
There's been a lot of talk about that, probably because the MacBook Pro is just MacBook Pro. They don't have MacBook Pro 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's probably a good point, though.
iPod Touch. They don't have iPod Touch 3 or 5 or anything. So.
And I think Tim Cook did a great job, too, on the
I think everyone's pretty much impressed. Him and Phil Schiller.
Yeah, and even Trevor Long went to the event.
Yeah.
It's quite cool.
Be nice for him to have a trip over there.
Yeah. That's
a holiday.
Wish we got invited to it, but we didn't. Steve. Hey, Steve.
Hey, what's up?
What's up?
How you guys doing?
What's up, Steve-O? And also got Jody back on Tech Webcast. Hey, Jody.
Hey there.
Hey.
Jodes.
Welcome back. Jodie.
Oh, come on. You know it's why.
Why?
Why?
Why? Because I said so.
MOUSE. Welcome back again.
Jody.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Jody.
Should we get into some news?
Sure, Matt, go ahead.
All right. Google's Android market has undergone some tremendous changes over the last year or so. What started as just a standalone app store has quickly grown to encompass ebooks, music, videos, and now Google feels like the Android market moniker is becoming too restrictive, too constraining for what they're really trying to deliver to their users. That's why Google is officially putting the Android market name to rest. All of Google's digital media services have been rebranded to fly under a brand new banner, Google Play. Despite some delectable new rumors, Google Play isn't a new tablet from the folks at Mountain View, but rather a unified brand that seeks to tie the company's digital media services together. According to Google Engineering Director Chris Yoga, the rebranding was something Google has been contemplating for quite some time, but the company felt this was the natural time to pull the trigger. Google has spent months and months building out the Android market into a digital media hub, but constantly invoking the Android name seems to have led to a sense of exclusion for some users. There's nothing about the process of renting music, movies, purchasing music, or skimming through ebooks from Google that requires anyone interested to actually own an Android device. All of the users' pertinent media is stored in Google, their considerable cloud, and accessing from run-of-the-mill web browsers, and Google wants to drive that point home with the new Google Play brand. In turning one of its best-known hackers into an informant and breaking down the highest-profile elements of anonymous movement, authorities have dealt a serious blow to a group they found growing irritant. But as broader anonymous label, complete with its iconic Guy Fawkes mask imagery, is used by even more disparate causes worldwide, it may be all but impossible to shut it down for good. US authorities revealed on Wednesday that leading anonymous hacker Sabu, real name Hector Xavier Monsegur, age 28, had been arrested last June in his apartment in a Manhattan housing complex. According to a newly released court transcript, he agreed to cooperate with authorities in return for likely leniency, helping US prosecutors bring charges against 5 more men, including 2 in Britain and 2 in Ireland. All had been previously arrested. Ray Ozzie, the man who succeeded Bill Gates as Microsoft's tech visionary, believes the world has moved past the personal computer, potentially leaving behind the world's largest software company. The PC, which was Microsoft's foundation and still determines the company's financial performance, has been nudged aside by powerful phones and tablets running Apple and Google software, the former Microsoft executive said. People are we in a post-PC world, Why are we arguing? Of course we're in a post-PC world, Ozzie said in a technology conference run by Tech Block GeekWire in Seattle on Wednesday. That doesn't mean the PC dies. It just means the scenarios that we use them in, we stop referring to them as PCs, we refer to them as other things. Ozzie was making his first comments on Microsoft since stepping down from the tech giant abruptly in 2010. He spoke just hours after Tim Cook, the chief executive of Microsoft's arch rival Apple, stressed the emergence of post-PC world forged by the iPad. And speaking of the iPad, Apple has given the new iPad a whole host of new features, but no new name. When it goes on sale on Friday next week in Australia and several other countries, it will be called the iPad, not the iPad 3 or iPad HD as some had speculated. The lack of new name could cause confusion for buyers, particularly since the older model, the iPad 2, will still be sold. But the naming practice is consistent with Apple's practices for the iPod. New models were simply called iPod, and consumers will have to figure out which generation of the product they were looking for. The new iPad has, as expected, a sharper screen and faster processor. What's more surprising was that the new features mean the tablet will be slightly thicker and heavier than the iPad 2 because it needs a more powerful battery to drive the high-resolution screen. It will also have voice dictation, which allows people to dictate straight into their iPad rather than type. The battery life remains about the same, about 10 hours of use. Apple says the battery capacity is 70% higher than for the old model, which suggests that it could have kept the old screen, extended the battery life to 17 hours instead of upgrading the screen resolution. It will start at $539 in Australia. Versions capable of accessing mobile networks will cost $679 to $899. But unfortunately, Australians won't be able to take advantage of the faster 4G speeds, as Australia's only 4G network offered by Telstra uses a different frequency, 1800 megahertz, to 4G networks in the US. Apple is also upgrading its Apple TV set-top box so it can play movies in 1080p, the highest resolution commonly used video standard. The new set-top box will sell for $109 in Australia. So, Brad, what do you think about the new iPad?
I think it's great. I think I'll just put up just then because about the 4G. You can't use 4G in Australia, so I may not get it now. That's the main reason why I was going to get it, the 4G and the screen. But
yeah, that would have been pretty nice. They run their Verizon one runs on 700 megahertz, but at the moment that's used by television frequencies in Australia, and the government is in a discussion to have the TV stations move out of there and make it available for 4G, but that probably won't happen for another 3 or 4 years. So
what's your view on the iPad, Jason, before we get to Jody and Steve?
I think it'd be quite nice. I'm going to definitely pop down to the Apple Store, or probably Nextbyte, because everyone goes to the Apple Store. So last time the iPad 2 came out, I just went to Nextbyte, which is literally around the corner in Sydney from the Apple Store. They had 4 out and nobody was using them, so I got a good chance there to try it out, get some photos, see what I thought. High resolution would be very nice. Apparently it's very crisp and looks very good. Apple also has changed the 3G download limit size to 50 megs for apps now instead of 20. So you could download bigger apps through 3G. Of course, that's probably going to be because the apps are going to be larger with bigger graphics assets for the new screens. Okay. So we should have some nice-looking games and things.
Definitely.
A few of the developers, the indie ones, are a bit upset because it's getting more and more difficult to create apps because you're going to need a lot of resources, people making large graphics and better sound and things for the games, and it makes it a bit difficult for the indie developer groups made up of 1 or 2 people to try and create these large applications. But it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but we'll see how it goes.
All right. So, Jody, what's your thoughts on the new iPad?
Well, I'm curious. I'd never invested. I have to tell you, being a geek, this is totally counterintuitive, but I have an iPhone 4S and I have a MacBook Pro, and what I've been doing is trying to figure out where the iPad fits in that spectrum. So what do you use it for? I mean,
Well, the question is, what do you want to use it for? What do you want to use it for?
For myself, I use it for browsing, reading and replying to emails, reading Twitter and replying to Twitter, playing a few games. Yeah,
that's what I do too. Watch a bit of videos and stuff. And
if I'm watching TV and I want to look up something, it's easier to type on than my little screen on my iPhone.
Definitely. So what do you reckon you'll use it for, Jody, for the iPad?
Well, and that's a good question. One of my friends, I was asking my whole network. I've got, I don't know how many people on Facebook I've been asking, and one of my friends has an autistic child. His daughter has difficulty communicating. And he says that the iPad has been a godsend for her because it enables her to communicate in ways that otherwise she wouldn't be able to communicate. So I do see that there's a place for it. And I've been struggling with trying to figure out if I were to get one, if I would get the iPad 2 and save a few bucks, or go ahead and get the new iPad, which is not the iPad 3. And I guess I'm curious, you guys, whether you feel that Apple shot themselves in the foot a little bit, because it doesn't appear that there's that much of a change. Do you think it warrants investing in a new iPad in the 3?
Well, I don't know.
For me personally, no, I'm going to stick with my iPad 2 for now. Being a developer at some stage in the future, I might get a new iPad just to see how my stuff will work on there. So I'd probably need a range of devices. I've also got an Android one for testing, but for personally, everything that I need to do is on the iPad 2 and works fine for me. I mean, if I want to quickly do something, it boots up faster than my laptop does, so I can do things there, and it's got a nice size screen for viewing things on, and easier to use and look at than my iPhone, which I can use on the train and when I'm away from home, but I prefer to use a bigger screen, so the iPad 2 works in that case. But I really don't see a big draw for using the new iPad for myself. Not enough really cool features.
Yeah.
Was there a feature that you thought they were going to introduce that they didn't, that you were disappointed wasn't part of it?
I couldn't really think of what I would really like. There are some people who are hoping for a haptic feedback on the screen. I don't know. That probably wouldn't have convinced me to buy it, though. iPad 2 is a pretty damn good device, and it's hard to beat.
It's still great, yeah. It's only a year
really,
old.
If you have kids that like to watch videos, you would see a nicer video. But then again, the kids don't care whether it's going to be 1080p or not, just as long as they can see Thomas the Tank Engine.
Exactly right.
I don't watch videos on the device. I watch it on my Apple TV plugged into my television.
Yep. And what about you, Steve? What's your view on the new iPad? Are you going to get it, or you don't like it, or what are you going to do?
I don't think I really need a new one at this time, but I kind of want to go what Jody said. You know, she didn't know how the iPad really fits in. I think for some people, it's going to be a standalone device.
Yeah.
And for other people, it's going to be a secondary device to the regular desktop or laptop. And as far as people's responses, which I've actually read into, some people have new mixed reactions to the new iPad. Some being, well, their iPad 2 is good enough, and some people, perhaps playing a lot of video and games, feel for instance, the new upgraded graphics system, which uses a quad-core, it's going to be good for them. So I don't see it being, a super updated one. It's just more of an evolutionary going into the newer tech specifications, I guess you could say.
It's a bit like the iPhone 4S. There's not a giant number of features difference between the 4 and the 4S, but it was still Apple's biggest seller. So I guess people will be buying the new iPad in droves, and as usual, they'll be lined up around the block and all that sort of nonsense that usually happens.
Definitely. So so it's up to you, Jody, what you're going to do. If you get the iPad 2, it still will work great. Still do the same thing.
Yeah, and you know what I think, Brad? I think Apple should give us each one of the new iPads so that we can come back and report our experiences with it.
I agree.
Don't you think?
I agree, 100%. I think that's what they should do. Give us all an iPad, the new one.
Just so we can test it.
Yeah.
And then we might send it back.
All right. So, Steve, you got that link there? You want to talk to Jason about that new link? About the story on Gizmodo?
We got breaking news. I didn't even know this until recently, but I guess did you get interviewed by Gizmodo? Is that what it is?
Yes, Gizmodo Australia. I had an interview with them. They sent me a questionnaire which I filled out, sent back a few photos, and they've published on gizmodo.com.au.
Good stuff. That's fantastic.
And I guess you can read it off Gizmodo's website, Australia, and I guess your website as well, or Tech Webcast?
Yep, we'll publish links on both of those for people to have a look at Bluebilby and techwebcast.info.
Yep. I'll put that in the show notes today.
Just having a bit of a chat about the competition I was in.
Sure,
I don't think it had been announced last weekend when we did our show, but my app came second in the competition. So they said it was very close, first and second. It was difficult to choose who would get what, but mine came second, so I got a bunch of prizes. Very happy with that.
Good on you.
Especially for just 48 hours of hardcore developing.
Good on you. Good on you.
But yeah, it was well
we need
worth
the
it.
applause here. The roar of the crowd.
Yeah, we need that Santa Club thing.
So, or golf clap maybe. And so, no, it was a good experience, and coming second, I'm very happy with that. So,
I just had to throw that in.
Thank you.
No, that did not work very well, Steve. That's fail, mate. Didn't come out very clear.
Do that
but it was a
anymore.
really good experience, and it was nice talking to Alex about the experience there and talking about Angsu Corona
Cool.
and developing in Australia in general.
Good stuff. All right, what's up next, Jason? The new iOS come out, mate. 5.1 came out.
5.1 iOS.
Yes,
yeah,
it did.
they've got an update there. I did a quick little video of the camera on the lock screen now. You don't
Cool.
have to double tap the home button
No, you don't.
to get the icon to appear. It's there all the time. You can actually put your finger on it and slide the lock screen up off the front page, and then you've got the camera there and take your photos, and then do your swipe down to bring back the lock screen again. It's very swish.
Very cool. Yeah, I like it. What about you, Steve? What are your thoughts on the new update?
One in general that I really like is the, of course, the camera shortcut to the lock screen, because some
Yep.
people, they want to catch that certain moment in a hurry before it, gets away from them. So you can just do the quick shortcut and the camera's right
Definitely.
there, where before you had to do a couple of steps waiting for the camera to come up. So
Yeah,
Cool.
well, mine always has a passcode on it, so I'd have to swipe to unlock, type in the passcode, swipe back to the page that's got the camera icon on there, click on the camera icon, wait for it to boot up, click and take a photo, and by then whatever was happening is gone.
yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so it's good to have that really quickly done.
All right. So,
And
Jody,
do you think that,
yep.
yeah, do you think it's operating more smoothly? Because it seems like my iPhone's operating a little bit faster.
Yes, it is. I agree. Works really
And
good.
apparently they said it's going to improve a bit of battery life as well, which is always welcome.
Yeah. I heard.
One can only pray.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So, all right, let's talk about what else Jason has been
Now,
up
Brad,
with.
as you
Go
know,
ahead.
I mentioned I've just created a YouTube channel for Blue Bilby apps.
Yes.
YouTube.com/Blue Bilby apps. Nothing there at the moment because I only just created it this morning. But I wanted to shoot a video demo demonstrating the TW podcast app that
Cool.
I've written for our show. And I went to have a look at the Twitter feed during the video, and there wasn't one.
Oh, no.
So, Twitter have changed the way that the links are shown. And when you click on the Twitter button in our app, it actually goes to click here to sign up. Please type in your username and password, and you can join Twitter. I'm like, well, I don't think our users would like that. They want to view what's happening with Tech Webcast. So I found out a better link. So I've added that into the app. And I figured while I was at it, I was going to go with the suggestion that we've had from a few people and make it a landscape app.
Nice.
So I've got probably 90% of that changed now. It's going to
Sweet.
be landscape, which means that when you watch the videos in the app, they're going to be widescreen instead of squished into the middle on the portrait version.
Cool.
So I'm rejigged around a lot of the buttons and links and pages and stuff. So that's 90% done. Hopefully I'll have a new version uploaded to the App Store either this afternoon or tomorrow.
Wicked.
And you'll be back on track again.
Wicked. You need to be paid for that. So what about this other story, Jody? You're talking about the tethering thing.
Well, we were discussing earlier the different versions of the iPad, and there is a price difference between the Wi-Fi connected and the what would you call it? Mobile-enabled iPads.
Yep.
Okay, so the question then becomes: is it possible to use a phone and tether your iPhone with the iPad? And evidently, those of us who have the unlimited data plan, my program has been grandfathered for a while, and I don't have this button, this hotspot button that I know, Brad, you showed me that you have on your phone.
Yeah, I do.
In order for me to get it, they have to change my plan, and it starts becoming a plan with that is a limited plan, and it's another $50 a month, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So in the show notes, you'll see the Lifehacker article on how you can tether your phone with either your computer or with your iPad, and you don't have to jailbreak the phone. And it's kind of interesting the way they circumvented the Apple Store, because it's not an app. It's actually going to a website using your mobile phone and tethering it that way.
Oh. That's very innovative.
I thought it was kind of clever, yeah.
It'll be very useful to people in the US because, as you were saying, in Australia we've been able to tether ever since the iPhone 4 came out, so we've had no problems there. And even my 3GS was doing some tethering back then as well, so we didn't ever have that problem. I've noticed there's been a lot of talk in the US about people who've been on the quote unlimited unquote plans on AT&T, and after you get to 3 gigs, they throttle you down so that your internet's basically completely useless.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy? How unlimited? That. Yeah, how unlimited is that?
Yeah. They say, well, you can download 6 million gigs if you like, but it's going to be slow as hell. And technically, the data is unlimited, but your
speeds. There we go.
We didn't say unlimited speed. We said unlimited quota, which is technically what you're getting. But there was a guy in the US who sued AT&T and got $850, so good to him. And apparently the terms and condition that when you sign up with AT&T, you can't launch a class action lawsuit against them. A few people doing that lately. So individually, everyone can sue them as much as they like, but in one go, you can't do it. So although I heard also the guy who did get the $850 is now working on getting his brother a refund and said anyone can contact him and he'll help them. So give it a go if you want some money from AT&T, I guess.
Cool.
Well, yeah, and it would be expensive to do any kind of litigation against them. But I did, and Brad, it's kind of your fault because you suggested that I call them. But when I called and spoke to the AT&T representative, what they told me was that because the unlimited data plan came out before they had offered tethering, at least in the U.S., that they didn't feel that they had to offer it as part of the unlimited program. So that's why we don't have that same hotspot button that you have, which is unfair.
That your telco would limit you like that, where in Australia and other countries they're like, yeah, go for it, take as much data as you want.
Just move to Australia, Jody. That will fix it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Stay in Brad's spare room.
No. Go move with Steve. He's coming to Australia, so live with him.
Oh, great. You guys are like shipping me around like I'm chattel or something.
Yeah.
I'm in right now. See, it's got too much equipment, so you'll have to sleep in the living room or somewhere, in the couch.
Routers and things can be very warming in the winter.
Yeah, they can. All right. What apps have you been checking out, Jason, this week, mate?
Yeah, one that I've been using quite a lot that a lot of my friends have got into is called Draw Something.
Nice.
It's very much like Pictionary. And there was one that I used to play a while ago called Depict, which is similar, only it's in blocky graphics like old retro style. But on that one, you're playing against random people around the internet. This one's much better. It's a higher resolution. And you can hook it up to your Facebook account and then challenge your friends on Facebook, and then they download it. So what happens is you start up the app, create a game. It'll give you 3 words, easy one, hard one, easy one, medium one, and a hard one. You pick which word you think you can draw and that the other person will be able to guess. And depending on which word you picked, you'll get 1, 2, or 3 virtual coins if they guess it right. So you go in there, you've got 4 colours to start with, so you draw your picture, submit it, it goes to the other person's phone, they see the picture and have to try and guess. It would, in a bit of a hangman style, you've got a bunch of letters down the bottom of the screen mixed up, which represent whatever it is that's being drawn, plus a few other letters. And if it's too difficult, you start off with about 10 bombs, and you can bomb away the letters that are not involved in the picture, so it makes it easier to guess.
Nice.
And as you play, you get these virtual coins. So you've got 10 bombs, you use them up, you can buy more bombs with the virtual coins, or if you like, you can save up the money, the virtual money, and buy more colours. So you've got a wider range of colours, that sort of thing. So it's got interesting things to look forward in the future. And then once you guess what the word is, it'll say, congratulations, that's very drawsome. Bit of a pun there. And then you get a chance to draw a picture for the other person. So you just pass it back and forward. And just about everybody I know is installing it on their device and playing against each other. So they're having lots of fun.
Is it a free app?
Yes, you get a free version or a paid one. The free one, after you've drawn it, will pop up either a hint on how to use the app with a few features that you might not have realised are there, or it might come up with a quick ad that you can just skip.
Cool,
So
cool.
worth the free money.
Good stuff. All right. Jody, any apps you want to mention before we go? Any apps you want to mention? Free apps or anything like that?
Just the tethering thing, I think.
Okay. All right, get
Yeah.
that,
And
get
Brad,
that.
you've downloaded the new iPhoto, I believe.
Yeah, have you got that, Jason, yet?
I know. What's it like?
It's very
What
cool. It's
can you do with it? I've not got
$5.
any
Oh, you can
iPhoto.
edit the photos and that sort of thing, and upload them to Flickr or Twitter or Facebook, and a bit like Instagram, really.
Oh, okay, cool. And I think they've got a journal mode or something.
I haven't used that part yet.
You can add the photos into a journal and record where you've been and things like that, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, cool. I'll check that part out. Okay. Yeah, it's a good app. I think it was $5. I think it was.
Yeah, there were updates to a few of the iOS apps to make them compatible with the new iPad coming out.
Yep, definitely. And what about you, Steve? Any apps you want to mention, mate?
I've got one app, but it's not really for iOS.
What about Voxer?
Which is the configurator for Mac, which is not for the average home user, but if you have a lot of, I guess if you have a lot of iPads, iPhones, and iPod Touches, you can actually do it from one central application, which is really made for businesses. And,
what about Voxer, Steve? You like Voxer?
I like Voxer, but it depends on the use. I think it's great when you use it for if people have questions and you can just play the audio clip.
Yep,
You
definitely.
did it in the last couple of shows.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that use.
All right.
I like Voxer.
Yeah, I love Voxer. Voxer's great. I love it.
It is.
I've not used it. Something else that I wanted to mention, Brad,
Sure.
that we can add into the show with some pictures is a website called j5create.com.
Okay.
And they've got a device called the Wormhole Switch. Now, what this does, it's a cable that's got a USB key on each end. And if you've got, say, a Windows computer and a Mac computer, or two Windows or two Mac, you can plug the USB cable one end into one and one end into the other, and now they become like a networked virtual dual machine.
Oh, sweet.
So not only are they networked, they see each other as a USB drive. So if you want to copy files from one to the other, it's instant through the USB cable. But if you're using the keyboard and mouse on one computer, you can set it up so that the other one becomes a virtual machine connected to it. So if you move your mouse to the left and off the screen on the computer you're using, it'll appear on the screen on the other machine. And it's like you're using the mouse or keyboard on the other machine and you're nowhere near it. So
nice.
you can cut and paste between operating systems. So if you are on your Mac and you've got a picture on there, you copy into the clipboard, drag your mouse over onto the Windows machine sitting next to it, and you can paste it straight into that machine as if they're the one machine. You can drag folders from one machine to the other to just copy them straight onto the desktop of the other one, so it becomes a virtual desktop of the current machine. There's no software, it's all just auto-detect in the hardware. It also will allow you, if you get the USB adapter for your iPad, or if you've got a Android device that's got USB ports, you can plug the other end of the cable into there, and now your keyboard that's on your Mac or Windows machine becomes a keyboard to allow you to type on your iPad or your Android device as if you've got a keyboard plugged into it.
Oh, no. Wow, cool.
So if you've got, if you just have you can use it as a secondary screen, for example, and have sitting there with Twitter or Word or something like that, a word processor running, and you drag your mouse or your click on the keyboard over there, and suddenly whatever you're typing on the keyboard is appearing on your iPad or Android device as if you've got a Bluetooth keyboard set up. So it's very, very interesting. It's only like $40. You can buy it in Australia as well. It's called the Wormhole Switch from J5 Create.
All right. Well, send us one and we'll review it.
Very awesome, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Well, this has been episode 78.
178, yep.
And Jody, what's up with Tech Webcast? You're going to be on each week, is that correct?
Oh, I'd love to. Yes, I hope so.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing you again next week then.
Next week.
Awesome.
Where do we find you on the internet?
Where did you find me? Brad found me on Google Plus, I believe.
Or where do people find you?
Oh,
Yeah, where can people stalk you?
My website is webmarcom.net, and you can find me on Google Plus as well. We use a2sm.org as a shortener to get to the Google Plus profile. On Twitter, you can find me as Sunswept, and the usual suspect places LinkedIn and Facebook as Jody Raines.
Yeah. All right. What about you, Steve?
You can find me on Justin TV channel.
Sweet.
Justin.tv/Linux Cool Dude, and on Twitter as Chatterbox_live.
And me, Brad, on the Tech Webcast. Jason, where can they find you, mate?
You can find me on Twitter, Warlock, WAULOK, and Blue Bilby Apps, and of course, bluebilby.com.
All right. Well, this time next week, hopefully, Jody will have an iPad.
Yeah, and everybody download the TW podcast app so you can try it out for us.
Yeah, Dan, go
New
buy it.
update coming soon.
Go buy it because Jason needs the money. He does a lot of work on that. Okay, thanks, guys. Thanks, Jody.
Next week.
Thanks.
Hi, Glenn from Aussie Tech Heads. Join Will, Eric and myself as we bring you the latest, most up-to-date, important tech news that affects you from Australia and the world. Weekly podcast available each Friday through iTunes. Watch the live stream recording of the show at live.thesecrethub.com each Thursday night, 7:30pm or GMT +10. Call in live via Skype or chat in our lounge. However you get us, just make sure you do. Listen or visit our website for more information, www.aussietechheads.com.au. Aussie Tech Heads, Australia's longest-running tech news podcast.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to check out Tech Webcast on blip.tv and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes to make sure you always have the latest episode at your fingertips. Tech Webcast, Tech Talk for geeks.